Hey everybody, my name is Devin Gage. Welcome to the Engage Goal Setting Framework, where I'm going to teach you the most advanced and effective way to set goals for yourself that tap into your subconscious and help you achieve transformational results faster than ever before. Now, this framework comes from my training as an NLP master practitioner, as well as my training in being a certified hypnotherapist. Now, don't get too weird about some of the hypnotherapy things. What this means is I'm going to teach you how to anchor goals so deeply inside you that you are achieving them without even thinking about it. This is the first time I'm introducing this technique, and it's just for members of Engage Personal Training, Engage Strength Training, as we embark on the new year in 2024. So buckle up, grab your goal attainment framework worksheets, and let's get started. Hey guys, so the first step in our goal attainment framework is going to be answering the question, what do you want? And I frame the question like this because wanting is a really, really powerful driver of emotion. And I've seen this across my teams at all of our locations and in the tens of thousands of people that I've worked with in person and online, is that wanting can make you feel incredibly uncomfortable because it taps into your deep-seated identity and your self-worth. You feel uncomfortable for wanting something because maybe you don't feel like you are deserving of the thing that you say you want, so you either play small or you feign wanting something. You pretend to want something, but you don't actually put in the work or take the steps to doing it because your subconscious is pulling you down to the level that it believes that you should stay at. So the first step is identifying and creating a really positive goal for yourself through this idea of wanting and understanding that it is okay and it is you are worthy of wanting the things that you want, and you don't have to answer it to anybody. You don't have to justify it to anybody. You are worth whatever you want in your life. And that is the first step, is to embrace this idea of what you want for yourself this year. So I'm going to walk you through the framework, and some of it you may have heard before and it may be a reminder, but the very first thing is answering, what do you want? What do you want this year for yourself? And it has to fall under the SMART goal framework. And what that means is what you want has to be incredibly, first S, specific. It has to be measurable. It has to be attainable. So it has to be actually realistic and attainable. It has to be relevant. And relevant, what that means, it has to be relevant to your life. So, for example, if I want a mansion in Key West, that's not relevant to my life at all. It actually doesn't align with my purpose at all. So it has to be actually relevant. If you want to lose 100 pounds, but maybe you don't actually have 100 pounds to lose, it's not relevant to your life or what your bigger purpose is. So relevant really means, is it relevant to what you are subconsciously desiring for your life or what your bigger purpose is in life? And finally, it has to be time sensitive. There's a law in psychology called Parkinson's Law. And what that states is that your work will fill the time given to completion. So if you don't set a time-sensitive goal, your time it takes to achieve your goal or your outcome will fill the time given. And if it's an unlimited amount of time given, I want to be healthier by, whenever. You will be healthier by whenever. So by setting a time-sensitive framework around it, you will achieve that goal in that time frame. So think of a simple goal like, I want to lose 20 pounds. So if you just set that, I want to lose 20 pounds this year, you will subconsciously allow yourself to do the amount of work necessary to lose 20 pounds by this year. And that's not very much. That's 1.5 pounds every single month, give or take. So at the same time, if you set a goal to lose 20 pounds in the next 60 days, your subconscious is going to do the work to attain that goal within that time frame, which is a lot more than what it takes to lose 20 pounds in 1 year. So time sensitive, it's amazing what subconsciously happens beneath the surface of your understanding that allows you to achieve goals in less time just by setting that time frame. So we need to set a SMART goal. My favorite way to do this is by this statement: I will be blank by blank. So I'm going to give you guys a really real goal for myself. So my goal is to lose 20 pounds by the end of February. Like a lot of fitness professionals, when you're in the weeds of working all the time, sometimes your health gets away from you, even though you work in the fitness industry. So I should be about 20 pounds lighter. So I will be, I'm going to say 205 by 228. Is it specific? Absolutely. It is a specific goal. Is it measurable? 100% it is. Now, we don't always talk goals in weight. It's not actually the most healthy way to do it, but it is a really simple way to do it. And you would only really want to do this if you had a lot of weight to lose. I'm using this for, more of a reference for this video, but if you have access to an InBody, which if you are at Engage or Gauge Strength Training, you do have access to more advanced goal setting tools like the InBody scan. But get really specific and measurable, okay? Is it attainable? Absolutely. 60 days to lose 20 pounds is attainable for me. Is it relevant? Yes. It's going to give me more energy. It's going to make me feel better, and it's going to help me live a more confident and fulfilling life because I'm going to feel better. I'm going to sleep better, and I'm going to be more confident. Last, is it time sensitive? Absolutely. I put a deadline on here. All right. So take the time, stop this video right now, and set your first step in the framework is identifying exactly what you want. And remember, it may feel really uncomfortable and it may feel like a little cringy, but if it is something that you want, it should activate a feeling of purpose and a feeling of energy and positivity. Now, a few other things that you want to consider before you stop this video, I'm getting ahead of myself, is this goal stated in positive terms? So meaning, is it an I will be goal versus I won't be? So you want to avoid negative stated goals. So you always want to state your goals in positive terms. So that means, I will be 205. I will be, richer. I will be X% body fat instead of I won't be fat. I won't be tired all the time. I won't be in pain all the time, which all those are not measurable or specific anyway. But you want to make sure your goal is stated in positive terms. And another way to think about this is there's two directions that you can go when you set goals. There are towards goals where you're moving towards an outcome, and there are away goals where you're moving away from a painful state. So in the short term, you will be incredibly motivated to move away from a painful state. You will be incredibly acutely motivated to move away from a really painful state. Like, I am in pain. I don't want to be in pain all the time. I don't want to be fat. I don't want to be, I don't want to have sleep apnea. I don't want to be embarrassed to walk into the gym. Those are really painful experiences that you want to move away from really quickly. But think about how motivated you're going to be when you move away. Typically, you're only motivated until you are far enough away that it's not as painful. So if you need to lose 100 pounds because you're in pain all the time and your knees hurt and your back hurts and you're embarrassed to walk into the gym, you will only be motivated until your knees no longer hurt and your back no longer hurts, and that could be only 20 pounds. So you want to instead move towards a positive outcome, which is a positive towards goal. So I will be 100 pounds lighter, which will make me feel more confident and pain-free. So instead of I don't want to be in pain, you want to state it in terms of I want to be pain-free. So stop the video right now. Make sure that your goal and what you want is stated in a SMART framework, and it's also stated in positive terms, and that is moving towards an outcome that you truly desire. Stop the video right now and get that done. All right, so now that you have stated your goal in the SMART framework and you have done so in a way that is moving towards a positive outcome and a meaningful state in your life, the next step is to dig deeper below that surface level of what the goal is and align that with how this impacts your purpose in life. So subconsciously, we will act in alignment with our deepest purpose. And this is going to be different for everybody, and this is a very personal exercise to do. But my challenge to you is to stay in the pocket of this exercise and challenge yourself to ask yourself these questions. What will that do for me? And the question again is, what will this do for me? So using my goal, which is somewhat used for this exercise, as I will be 205 pounds by February 28th, you want to run through the question, what will that do for me, 7 times. And this is a framework that I learned years and years ago that I've taught to a select few people, called the 5-6-7 framework. Because the first time you answer that, you may say, it will make me healthier. So losing 20 pounds in the next 2 months may make me healthier. So what does that do for me? It gives me more energy. What does having more energy do for me? Provides confidence. What does that confidence do for me? Maybe it allows me to go out and do more things in my life, show up in the world in a bigger way. So show up in the world. I'm going to switch markers here because now we're getting into a little bit more of a powerful frame and digging deeper into our purpose. So what will that do for you if I'm able to show up to the world in a bigger way? Is I'm going to be able to make a bigger impact. So what's important to me about making a bigger impact in the world and showing up into the world in a bigger way? What is that going to do for me, right? So I really truly believe that when I'm at my best, when I'm at my healthiest, when I show up in the biggest, most powerful way in my life, I can truly change the world. So this is the chance to change the world. At least the world that I'm meaningfully is aligned with my purpose, which is the members of our locations and the members of Gage Strength Training and Engage Personal Training, to provide the world's greatest gym that we can change as many lives as possible. And what will that do for me if I'm able to change my world? When you get to the end of this exercise, you want to start thinking about your future you. And you want to think at the end of your life, you're sitting in front of the mirror with wrinkles and gray hair, and you think about the things that were most meaningful to you in your life. And at the end of my life, if I'm able to go forth and bring my best self to the world and show up in the most meaningful way, and I'm able to do what I truly believe that I should and is aligned with my purpose, I believe that I'm able to leave a legacy for my family and to have my 2 daughters, carry forth that legacy. And they saw their dad do amazing things in the world and transform the world one day at a time. And that is my deepest purpose, is to leave a legacy and a evidence that you can change the world with the work that you do, and if you can show up. So my deepest purpose is to leave a legacy. Now you may have seen I switched markers here, is because it's not a perfect system, but what you typically find is when you challenge yourself to dig deeper into your goal and you go from surface level, I want to lose weight, I want to be healthier. That's not a smart goal, sorry. I want to be 5% body fat. I want to run a marathon in this amount of time. That when you dig deeper below that surface level and you ask yourself, what is that going to do for you enough times? You eventually get that 5th, 6th, and 7th time is where you really start to dig into something that lights you up. Now, when I repeat this goal to myself and say that I want to show up in the biggest way possible and I want to make a difference in the world and I want to transform people's lives so that I can leave a legacy for my 2 daughters that can look up to me and say that, my dad made a difference in the world, that sends shivers down my spine. And it's typically not until you reach that level of meaning and purpose that you're done with this exercise. So challenge yourself, stay in the pocket of that discomfort and that awkwardness, and maybe it feels a little cringy, to challenge yourself to find that moment that you get chills and that maybe you get emotional when you start talking about the future of you in this space. stop the video and don't come back until you've identified that purpose. All right, guys, so now that you've dug deep below the surface of just that surface level goal that maybe you're not ashamed to share with the world, but you've identified how it aligns with your purpose and it excites you and you get that, shiver up your spine and those chills that make you feel empowered. Now we want to anchor that into your subconscious. We really want to dig and create an image of exactly what that looks like. Now, until we have a complete and perfect picture of what it looks like in this state, in this living with this outcome, it's never going to be totally anchored in. It may just sit as words on a piece of paper that don't drive you further towards your purpose. So the next part of this exercise is about collecting evidence that you've achieved this goal that aligns with your purpose. And you're going to do this through 3 questions. You want to create as clear of a picture or a vision of who you are after attaining this outcome. And you want to see, what I hear, and what I feel. So try to come up with 2 to 3 or more, if you have more, examples of evidence that you see, hear, and feel when you've achieved this outcome. And again, I'm going to go through mine. So what do I see? The picture that I see is probably a large instead of an XL size clothing. So I see, and you want to get really vivid. You want to actually see this in your mind's eye, a size on your clothing. So I see a large. I see 205 on the scale, right? I see that number in my mind, and until I see that number in my mind, it's never going to be attainable from a deep level. What else do I see? I see a visible, the body that is chiseled, that is actually visible. When I look in the mirror, I can see this defined body that is ripped and vascular, and I've got an 8-pack abs. Some of this, again, it doesn't matter if it's a little superficial. That's what I want to see from this outcome, is like I see this ripped up body, right? Again, I even sound a little cheesy saying that, but that's what I have to see to have the evidence that I've achieved this goal, all right? So again, you can go as far as you want with this see, hear, and feel, but just at a minimum, 2 to 3 examples of each one of these. Up next, what do you hear? So I want to hear how good I look. I want to hear other people telling me, hey, it looks like you've lost weight, or it looks like you've changed your life. So I want to hear compliments, right? I want to hear people asking me what supplements I'm taking, or if I'm taking steroids, right? That used to be when I was at my peak thing. That was always like my best, the best little feather in my cap was when people are like, you're on steroids, or they thought I was like juicing, which I wasn't, but it was always like some kind of a compliment, right? What are you taking? Right? So those are things that I'm hearing out in the world. So I'm hearing compliments about how I look, compliments about how energized I am, right? I'm also hearing, probably the ways that this shows up in my family. So if I've lost 20 pounds in the next 2 months, I want to hear, and I'm going to be hearing maybe my daughters telling their friends that, their dad is super committed, or their dad is super disciplined, or, my daughter, or, the people in my family bragging about, how great and disciplined and healthy and fit their dad is, even with all of the work on his shoulders and all the things that he's doing. Is I hear, my dad is the best, right? If I'm hearing that, that taps deep into my purpose in life. It aligns with that deeper meaning in my life. So what am I hearing as evidence that I'm moving towards this ideal outcome in my life? And what am I feeling? I'm feeling physically lighter, right? I can run 10 miles without breaking a sweat. That's probably never going to happen, but I can feel legitimate like lightness on my feet. So I feel just lightness, and I feel that weight off my shoulders. I feel like every muscle in my body activated and not having any body fat or anything that I'm, not totally proud of. So I feel pride. I just feel total confidence. So pride and confidence is what I'm feeling. And the last one is I just feel energized. Like, how am I going to feel when I'm 20 pounds lighter in the next 2 months? I'm going to feel like a bolt of lightning. If I feel like I'm getting a lot done, or if I'm focused or productive now, imagine when I'm in the absolute peak health and I'm the most healthy I've ever been, is I feel like just a complete energy, like a bolt of lightning, and unstoppable. I feel unstoppable. That's absolutely what, excites me about this goal attainment framework. Is you paint the picture of how in every sense you want to make you come alive. And you want to do it from a visual standpoint. You want to do it from an auditory standpoint and a kinesthetic standpoint. You want to get really, really deep and vulnerable into what you're going to see, what you're going to hear, what you're going to feel. Even if, again, it feels a little cringy or cheesy, don't be afraid to dig deeper into this for yourself. So stop the video right now and dig into the bullet points of the evidence that you need to collect to know that you've achieved this outcome. What you see, what you hear, and what you feel. Stop this video right now and go do that. All right, so now that you've painted this incredibly vivid picture of what you see, hear, and feel when you've attained this goal for yourself, now we want to do what's called, in the NLP terms, it's called an ecology check. And what that means is you want to look at how this affects everything else in your ecosystem, in your ecology. So this is an NLP term, but really it means, and your worksheet has further explanations on this, but again, how is this going to affect, how is goal attainment in this fashion going to affect everybody in your life? Because a lot of times we don't achieve goals that we want, but we live up to the standards or the expectations that other people have for us. Now, we all have those friends that don't like to see us change. When we want to improve our health, we want to change our habits or behaviors. Sometimes that can trigger a thought of insecurity in other people. Maybe you have a spouse at home that isn't willing to make those changes or is not ready to make that transformation. So they may make little jabs at you, or they make, little things that hold you down and make you feel guilty for wanting what you want. So you want to run everything through that filter of, this is what is really going to affect my life. And it's not just me, it's everybody else. If I make these changes, it's going to affect everything else in my ecosystem. So you want to do this ecology check. So think of the top 3 to 4 people in your life that you changing is going to affect, because that's reality, and we have to face reality here. So this could be your spouse. This could be your work. And this could be your children. This could be, this is going to be different for everybody else. So how will you transforming your health and achieving this outcome that you desire affect your spouse? So I know for me that me attaining a 20-pound weight loss in 2 months is going to affect my eating habits. It's going to affect my work schedule. It's going to affect my sleep schedule. And I need to make sure that who I'm at home with is going to be in the same boat and in the same up for the same choices. And if not, I have to run the filter of, is it worth it? Or is it even realistic if I know I'm going to come home and this person is going to be eating pizza every night and I want to have grilled chicken and rice? Okay? So you have to run through that filter of, how does this affect everybody else in your life? So if it's weight loss, this typically means more time spent in the gym, more time changing your eating habits. It could mean changing a heck of a lot about your life. What time you go to bed, what you do when you go to bed. Instead of watching TV, maybe you have to avoid screen time, or maybe you need to go to bed at a different time. And this changes the routine that you have and you've built your whole life around. This is a really, really big aspect of why people don't attain the outcomes that they want in their life is this ecology. So you've got to run it through that filter. So you want to think, how is this not only going to affect them, but how they view you? Like I said, we don't always achieve the things that we want, but we achieve the expectations that other people have for us. So I've had friends in the past that were always like the really big friend. And maybe that has how they built their identity. And you can hear it in that ecology fashion where we go out to eat and we're like, oh yeah, you're gonna get the double today, right? Or they don't finish their meal and there's little comments that aren't malicious, but it's just the way that other people have been trained to interact around them. So you've got to face the reality that huge changes in your life and in your health are going to affect the way people see you, and it may make them uncomfortable. And you've got to prepare yourself, and you've got to mentally prime yourself for how you're going to handle those things. So you not only want to start to write down how this is going to change the way people see you. Maybe it affects your work schedule. Maybe if you go to the gym more often, you're going to be spending less hours working. And you've got to be okay with the fact that that could affect the quality of your work or the amount that you get done. Now, I fully believe the opposite of that. I think the better health you have, the more outcomes you are with less time. But just for reference, if it isn't hours, like an hour-to-hour thing, okay? And then finally, your children. How does this affect the way your children view you? And this could be positive or negative. So the way your children view you is if you're gonna be chasing a really massive goal, you could have to spend a little less time knowing that the bigger picture is gonna give an outcome. Could be a really positive thing. It could say they're gonna view me as a lot more favorable, right? But you've gotta get really specific, not only in your vision, but how other people may see you when you achieve that goal. So run through the 3 to 5 most important or closest people in your life or things, behaviors in your life through that ecology check and make sure that this is actually a realistic and something that you do desire, knowing that this does change the way people feel about you. So stop the video and run that ecology check and make sure that it's still worth it even though everything around you may change. All right, guys, now that you've run through the filter of this ecology check and understanding how this affects the way the world may see you when you've attained this goal, and you've decided that it's still worth pursuing. If not, maybe you go back to the start and you make some tweaks, and that's okay too. But now we want to dig even deeper to what are the obstacles or what has stopped us in the past from achieving this. Now, here's something really fascinating. When we think about ourselves in the future, we don't actually think of ourselves, but we actually think using the same part of our brain that activates when we think of a fictional character. So there's a really interesting study that was done years ago where they took a group of participants and they asked them how many times that they thought they would work out over the next 30 days. And everyone, gave all kinds of, aspirational things. So I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to do 5 days a week. At the end of that 30 days, they brought the people back and everybody, or pretty much everybody, missed the goal that they set by significantly. It was a lot less than they did. And they asked why. They said, oh, well, my kid's schedule was crazy. I forgot about this trip coming up. And they all admitted that they didn't think about the reality of what stood in their way. And the fascinating part was they did the test again with the same group of participants. And they asked them, in the next 30 days, and they reminded them, knowing that you didn't hit your goal last time because of all the things that are going on in your life, in the next 30 days, how many workouts will you do? Everybody came back with the same or higher goals set for themselves. And this was a really good illustration of the fact that when we think of our future selves, we actually don't think in reality. We think of a fictional character that doesn't have crazy schedules, that doesn't have travel, that doesn't have temptation and urges and previous habits. We think of this perfect scenario where we've got all the time in the world, and it's just not reality. So we have to face the brutal reality of what has stopped us every single time we've tried this before and how it's going to be different this time. This exercise comes from one of the most effective exercises in cognitive behavioral change, and it is what are called implementation intentions. So what you want to do is you want to collect at least 5 to 10 examples of things that have stopped you in the past. So what has stopped me in the past from losing 20 pounds in 60 days? So I'll just give you a few examples here. First one is like my work schedule, right? I didn't prioritize, or I just got too busy. I didn't put it on my calendar and things got out of hand. Maybe it was my motivation. I just simply wasn't motivated. Next was eating takeout or eating on the go too much, right? So on the go eating can be really disastrous for weight loss goals because you just have no idea what you're eating. And so you want to list those 5 to 10 examples of things that have stopped you in the past. And again, get creative. Think of all the things that might happen or that have happened that maybe you never really thought of. But come up with those 5 to 10 examples. And then you want to do an exercise called implementation intentions. Now what this is, and there's tons of research on this and the effectiveness of doing this exercise. This is essentially a mental dress rehearsal. Because every behavior that we have, after the age of 30, 95% of our behaviors are done completely subconsciously. So much of what we do on a day-to-day basis is purely out of habit and routine. So what we're doing now is we are mentally doing a dress rehearsal for future routines. And the simple act of doing this and putting this on paper is incredibly powerful for getting repetitions into future events. So you know when you face the brutal fact that these exist in your life, these challenges have stopped you in the past and have defeated you from achieving your goals. Now we need to do the mental dress rehearsal of coming up with an alternative solution. So the framework that I like is this if-then framework. And it basically says, if my work schedule, because that's my first thing, is crazy, then I will, and I'll come up with a creative solution. So, maybe then I will do a, basement workout. Right? Let me do you one better. It's a little more realistic for kind of this place that we're at now, is I will do a GST Engage in-home workout. In-home workout, we have a YouTube channel with tons of workouts. You can access them. Just reach out to us and we'll send you the link to tons of in-home workouts that you can do. So did I do anything revolutionary? Did I do anything, super, innovative? No, absolutely not. All I did was put down on paper an alternative solution so that I've done a mental dress rehearsal for what I can do to overcome something that has stopped me in the past. And I've given this exercise to thousands and thousands of people, and the amount of people that follow through with it, because maybe it feels not effective or it's too easy to be effective, is disheartening, because the research shows this is the most effective way to overcome these obstacles and things that have stopped us in the past. So your steps here for this exercise is understand that it is only hidden obstacles that are impossible to overcome. If you just have the courage to face the brutal facts and face what has stopped you in the past, you are much, much more likely to be successful in the future. So stop this video, identify the 5 to 10 things and hurdles and obstacles that have stopped you in the past, and come up with your alternative solution, even if it's not perfect, even if it feels like, maybe not even realistic. Just the act of writing it down, it gives you more of a chance of being successful. So stop this video and do that exercise now. All right, so now that you've faced the brutal facts of what stopped you in the past, you've made a game plan, you've done that mental dress rehearsal for overcoming that. Now we really want to get the ball rolling with actual actionable steps to understanding what we got to do to actually achieve this outcome. And this is what's called a resource check. So resources are either physical or intangible states or things that are resources for us in achieving our goals. So this could mean resources for weight loss could be a gym, it could be a nutrition plan, it could be a coach or a trainer that you work with. And the intangibles or maybe mindsets are previous examples of times that you've achieved really amazing things. So resources are your mental confidence booster. So the things that allow you to say, you know what, this is a really big goal and maybe I'm afraid or feel lack of confidence, but I've done some really hard things. So those are resources that you can tap into, mindsets or approaches or disciplines that you have in your possession. Because every challenge that we overcome becomes a skill set or a strength that we acquire. I'll state that again. We acquire the strength needed to overcome difficult challenges. So resources could be the challenges that you've overcome that give you the confidence to know that you've accessed this before and I own that strength to accomplish in the future. So let's go through the resources that you have currently first. So let's use, again, my goal for the example. I will be 205 pounds by February 28th. What are the resources that I have? I have lost 20 pounds in the past. So that's a mindset, that's a confidence that I have that, listen, I've been here before. I know what to do. I have the discipline to do it because I've done it before. So that's a resource. I have the world's greatest gym, Gauge strength training on my back. I have the resources of the team that I personally hand selected to change the lives of thousands of people. I've got that team in my back pocket. Those are resources that I have. I have the understanding. So I have the understanding of what it's going to take and obviously the understanding of this whole framework. I've got the understanding of what I have to do and what I have to eat to achieve this goal. So you want to list at least 3 to 5 resources that you currently have to accomplish this outcome that you've set that you really want for yourself this year. And again, these can be physical resources. This could be a car to get to the gym. This could be a trainer that you work with. This could be a program that is designed to help you do that. Or it could be a confidence that you've gained from achieving really hard things in other areas of your life. Now, I know at Gauge, we've got several clients that have achieved some of the hardest things in the world, like overcoming cancer. They've fought through rounds of chemo and really, life-threatening surgeries. They've beat addiction. They've done these amazingly challenging things. And for some reason, they forget that they had the discipline to do that when it comes to losing the weight. You have that resource, and I want you to think through and tap into that now as we go through this exercise. So stop the video now, go through the resources that you currently have to achieve this goal. So now that you've collected a slew of examples of the resources that you currently have to achieve this goal, whatever it is, now we want to talk and face the reality of what resources that we don't have that we need. So maybe there are still things that you need to be successful. And I don't know what your goal is, but I'm just going to use mine. I feel pretty confident that I've got the resources to be successful, but there are still things that I maybe still need to activate in my world. So, maybe I need an accountability buddy. So I need somebody that's going to call me every single day and, kick me in the ass about what I'm eating or how my workouts were, or, somebody that's really going to push me and challenge me. Maybe I need a set workout plan written for me. I've got access to it, but I haven't activated it. So I probably need a workout plan that's actually written and in place for me. So again, I could go all day about the things that I still haven't done, the action steps that I need as resources. And if we go from a mindset standpoint, so maybe from a mindset standpoint is maybe I need to activate this whole workflow, this whole framework to remind myself of the resources that I have. So activating and going through. So stop the video. I want you to come up with as many examples of the things that you still need as resources. And this could be, I need to go to the gym more often. So I need to go from a large group membership to a small group, or 2 days to 3 days, or I need to get more steps in. I need a step tracker. I need an Aura ring to track my vital signs. What are the resources that you may need to successfully achieve this outcome? All right, guys, we are officially at the last step of the Engage Goal Attainment Framework, and this is where the rubber really meets the road. Now, the fact that you've made it this far, the fact that you hopefully have gone through this whole exercise and taken the time to really dig in and do it and really push yourself and to be vulnerable and courageous in doing this sets you apart from anything you've ever done before. The hardest part about attaining goals is this process right here. People don't attain goals because they don't take the time to set really meaningful and purpose-driven goals in the first place. So if you've made it this far and you've done all these steps, you are already 90% of the way to attaining this goal, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. So if you haven't, if you've skirted, this whole process, if you've watched all these videos and you didn't actually do the work, I would challenge you to stop the video right now, go back to the beginning and redo all of these steps, because I promise you, if you don't, you will probably not achieve a transformational goal that you set for yourself. What I challenge you to do in this last step is to create your action plan. What I mean by that is to create these small action steps that are smart in and of themselves that you can take to achieve this goal. So if your outcome is an outcome, that's typically a lag measure. It's something that you don't know until you really hit it. Now you want to achieve the breakdown of everything it's going to take to achieve that goal. Now, if you go back to the last exercise where you attain those resources that you may need, you may want to look at that and say, I need to activate those things. So for me, if I needed a gym membership, because I own the gym, I might say I need to sign up for the gym 3 days a week. So I need to work out 3 days a week. That is an action step. For me, and I'm going to be really at GST. And if I miss it, then I'll do a basement home workout following the Engage model. So I need to eat within my calorie restriction, which is about 2,500 calories a day. So I need to average no more than 25 calories daily. So that is an action step. I need to be eating 25 calories or less per day to achieve this goal. So I need to hit a protein goal every single day. So protein at 220 grams a day. So again, these are just basic examples for the goal that I set for this exercise, but let's put the rubber to the road. You don't want to overwhelm yourself with action steps, but you do need to make concrete, measurable steps towards achieving your outcome. So starting with that end outcome in mind, what that goal is, what are the things that have to happen every single day for you to realistically achieve that goal? Get really concrete, get really specific, and make them as small as you can. When you set the bar too high, like I will work out 60 minutes every single day, the likelihood of that happening is very low, especially if you haven't been doing anything near that. So set the bar low enough that it's achievable and it's likely, and it will lead to more. So for me, maybe it's not an hour workout every single day, but maybe it is joining a GST class 3 days a week. And if I join it, I'm going to finish it for the full hour, right? And that's why in our 24 strong framework, it's not 1 hour a day, it's 30 minutes a day of exercise. Because we wanted to set the goal low enough that there's very little likelihood that people can't commit 30 minutes a day to train or to move or to exercise. So commit the 3 to 6 action steps that are necessary to achieve that ideal outcome that you have, that is aligned deeply with your purpose, that excites you, that sends chills up your spine, that makes you feel like this is moving you towards your most transformational or fullest self. When you set those action steps out, keep them on you at all times. Now, stop the video right now, do that exercise, and if you do come back, I have one more step that's going to serve as some extra credit for you to truly anchor this into your subconscious. So do this exercise, and if you do that, you'll come back to activate the bonus material to help you subconsciously activate this goal for yourself. Hey guys, welcome to the final stage, the bonus material of your goal attainment framework. And the reason that this is more of a bonus material is because I imagine not everybody's going to go through this whole process. But I will say, if you do go through this process, you'll probably accelerate the rate of achievement and attainability of this goal tenfold. You will achieve this goal, and you'll probably never miss if you go through this process. So this is the goal anchoring process. And this is a really powerful way to truly anchor your goal and this outcome that you're striving for into your subconscious so that it actually operates subconsciously without you even realizing it. So you are moving towards this state without ever realizing it. And so the first thing that I challenge you to do is to take out either a piece of paper like this, or it looks like this for a reason. It's some kind of novelty color. It doesn't look normal. It's not a white piece of paper. It should be something that stands out and grabs your attention. And you're going to write your goal on this piece of paper. And this could be a Post-it note. A lot of times we do this with Post-it notes because it's sticky. But you're going to grab this piece of paper and you're going to write down your goal. And what I challenge you to do is to take a seat or lie down, and you're going to do a self-guided meditation. And I'm not going to do this on video, but all I challenge you to do is to sit with your eyes closed and go through everything that we did in the evidence stage of this framework, where you go through exactly what you see, hear, and feel when you've accomplished this goal. So you're going to picture yourself getting up out of bed and how your body feels, or how it looks. You're looking in the mirror and you're seeing the person that is looking back at you. You're seeing the confidence that is beaming out of their body. You're seeing the way they look, the clothes that they're wearing. You're seeing the energy that they have. You're feeling what that body feels like. And you want to get as vivid and as clear as possible when you do this. The more powerful you can make this image, and the more emotional and the more you can get into that state, is what's called getting into what's called a peak state. And you're getting really amped up and emotionally charged. And you're getting this energetic charge around achieving this goal. And I love the picture of, I look in the mirror and I can see the person looking back. I can see my body being different. I can see the clothes I'm wearing. I can see the way that I look. My face is thinner, and everything is different about me. And I can see that person so clearly, and I get really energized in this positive energy in my body. And then I want to open my eyes and I want to look at this goal that's written down on this piece of paper. When I'm in this peak state, I'm creating an anchor for this goal in that peak state, and that feeling of that sense of accomplishment and pride and energy and confidence, everything that I've accomplished at the end state of achieving this goal. This is a concept called anchoring. And anchoring occurs in our lives all the time. So when I typically describe this concept of anchoring, I always like to use the reference of, like, imagine your grandma used to make cookies on Christmas. And every time you smell this, you have the smell of sugar cookies, you think of your grandma in the kitchen and how much love and warmth and positivity there was. And you probably feel that same sense of love and warmth, right? You probably get a rush of those feelings. That is because that sensory moment of the smell of the cookies and the sounds of the kitchen anchored to that feeling of love and positivity and warmth. And in the brain, any sensory thing that wires to an emotion will stay wired to that emotion. And this is why we get triggered by trauma. So if you have certain sensory things that trigger certain feelings of trauma or anxiety, that's because what has fired together has wired together. So what you're doing in this thing is you are creating this really sensory environment and moment in this peak state. and you are wiring it to this novelty color and your goal. And if it's on a Post-it note, even better. If it's on a piece of paper, that's fine. And you want to keep this goal with you at all times. So you want to have it, maybe it folds up and you can put it in your wallet. Maybe it sits on your nightstand. But you want to keep this with you at all times. But that's not all. So the next step of this framework, which is really powerful, is you want to map everything that you do in your day-to-day life. So think about your day-to-day life. So I wake up in my bed and usually grab my phone off the nightstand. I brush my teeth. I go downstairs to the refrigerator. Usually, make a protein shake or drink some water, or, grab something out of the fridge. I go about, I usually read. So maybe where I keep my books, I go to the bookshelf. Then as I go to work, maybe I get into my car. I go to my desk at work. There's probably usually a bathroom trip somewhere in between here. And then at the end of the day, I go home, I go to bed. So what you're going to do here is you're going to take, if you have more pieces of this paper or if you have enough room on here, you're going to cut out tiny little squares of this paper, this note, this sticky note. That's why I really like sticky notes, because you cut out the sticky portion of the note. And all you're going to do is you're going to drop these anchors all throughout the different places that you visit on a day-to-day basis. So you've attached this emotion, you've anchored this emotion to this goal, to this site that is novel, that is different, that stands out. And now you're going to drop tiny little subconscious anchors everywhere that you go in your life. You're going to cut out a tiny little square, something so subtle that maybe only you would notice. If you are hyper vigilant, like my fiance, they would probably hate this. But you're going to drop these tiny little squares everywhere that you go. And what this is doing is every time that you see it, you will subconsciously process and be reminded of the power of this goal. You probably won't realize this is happening, but your brain will subconsciously process that tiny little square and attach it to this goal that, if you've done this whole process, if you've gone through this whole framework, that will be very emotionally charged and very psychologically charged, and it'll anchor it so deeply into your life that you will never miss or forget or lose sight of the goal and the framework that or the outcome that you're trying to accomplish. So you're going to drop these anchors all over. And again, some could be more obvious, some could be bigger, some could be smaller. I know that for me, some of these, would have to be really small, in my house. But that is how you can really deeply, deeply anchor your ideal outcome into your subconscious so that it operates 24 hours a day without you even realizing it. And you are much, much more likely to accomplish this goal if you go through this process. And even more powerful than ever is if you do this anchoring process where you develop that peak state and you anchor this idea of your goal, and then you come out of that state and you repeat that more times and more times. I challenge you to do this 3 to 5 times. Get into that peak state, thinking about that goal and thinking about who you are and what that person looks like, and that state that you're in when you've achieved it and you're full of confidence and you're beaming with pride. Get into that peak state and anchor it over and over and over again. The more you do that, the more you do that for yourself, the more powerful this technique will be and the more likely you are to achieve that outcome. So this ends our goal attainment framework. If you've stayed this long, I'm really proud of you, and I think you've done something for yourself that will change your life and transform your future forever. And if you need help, if you need support, what I challenge you to do is email me at devin@engageworldwide.net. I'm happy to send you, more resources and more support and, help you get into that state and get into that goal that's really meaningful to you. So I hope this helps. And any questions, email me at devin@engageworldwide.net. And good luck achieving your outcomes this year.